Hey guys, Godric Gray here. Thank you so much for watching. This is the second episode of the Larp Life, and today we're going to be discussing the things that we love most about LARPing. I'm joined here with two of my good friends, Lao-Tzu and Atreides, and we're just going to go ahead and jump on in. Lao-Tzu, if you had to pick one thing, what is your favorite aspect about LARPing?
Leaving the event. Just getting away from everybody. No. Probably my driving focus and love and like enjoyment that I get out of the game. That's not to diminish anything else, is the drive to better my craft. Like to get better at what I make and to be able to share that with other people. Like my best friends are in the game. I love seeing them, but I also see them outside the game as well. Like I make special efforts to see people are 6 hours away, which is rough. They need to drive down more. You heard me. But being able to specifically pick up something, kind of what we talked about in the other episode, was like carpentry. Being able to have a reason to get better at it, a reason to develop that skill, and the ability to give that away in a not weird way. Like if I just showed up to like a bakery and said, it's like, here's a throne. They're going to give me a weird look probably. But like having the means to fill a need that is actually like existing and in there and is good and actually adds to the event does a lot for me for the game and a lot for my enjoyment, and I'm able to spend a lot of time doing what I like in between the events and then sharing it with people. Yeah. I always am super squeamish about like any of the recognition. Like people tell me, it's like, oh, that looks so nice, that looks really cool. It's like, stop, I would like to meld into a wall now. But like knowing that I did a good job and am able to share that with people goes a long way for me, and it's super rewarding. Yeah,
for sure. That's one of my favorite things, is the ability to learn new stuff, just whatever it is. I mean, so from LARPing, I know how to lace lamellar armor. I know how to do all sorts of different artsy, glass etching, digital design, logo making, some marketing stuff that I wouldn't have done. I mean, there's so many different specific skill sets that I would never have picked up if I wouldn't have done LARPing. And then in particular, then you get into this historic stuff and the diving into the, your heritage and where you're from, and oh, this is really cool, and then oh, I can research this particular thing. Like, I love...
Don't you like the Mongolian culture?
Yeah, that's not my heritage.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm not seeing it. I may be wrong.
I've got my Anglo-Saxon stuff on.
Yeah, okay.
I'm good. So, one of the things that I love, you mentioned on it, Lao-Tzu, is the relationships and the friends. And Atreides, if you could talk, like, our kingdom is large. Can you like explain what our kingdom events are? And we were talking before we started on camera, we gather together and see our friends. What about that is so alluring to you?
I've met people playing this game that I don't think I would have otherwise met. They live very far away. They don't do the same kinds of things as me typically in my normal life. So I think that we all have a common interest, which is hitting each other with sticks or making things. There's something that brings us all together. So we tend to get pretty large groups who all have a reason to be friends. So I think that like I've run 3 events this past year. We've gotten higher and higher numbers every time, 200, 200, and then 300 for one of them. And getting that many folks in the same space who love the same kinds of things is kind of wild. Yeah.
I love the gathering of the events too. Just because I love camping. It's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah.
But then camping with my friends as well, and then my group in particular, we try and make our camp look the best out of everybody there, and that's kind of fun too. You walk in, it's like, here are my boys.
It does look really good too.
Yeah, like the camaraderie that you get in this game. I have a lot of friends that I know I would not have met if it weren't for this game that are now major parts of my life. And even if one of us were to quit the game, they would still be major parts of my life, And so the camaraderie and the friendship, and then from people who are from maybe different geographic locations, but also from very different socio-political views or different, they grew up in a area that I would never have been able to grow up in or interact with them at. People from all different walks of life and different beliefs and religions and cultures, and it's something that I don't get in my real life that often.
Sure.
That when you go to LARP, you get a lot of that.
And it coexists too.
Yeah.
The fact that we have, I guess, a specific purpose whenever we're there, which is interacting in LARP in some capacity. Like, it's not associated with something else. Like, we still get to interact with people who have those different, I guess, aspects of life, whatever it may be, kind of cohesively. Like, we're there. Like, I know, like, just two of us, we have very different beliefs, and yet, like, I mean, you're my brother. Like, like, we love seeing each other, love going to events, love spending time with each other. Like, we, kind of what you're saying, we would not have crossed paths otherwise. Like, and that's the way it is. So LARP has been able to provide that opportunity for us, which is really great.
And I think one of the big things too that I like about it is there is a place for every person in our game. Doesn't matter what your background is, doesn't matter what baggage you have. The game is very open. Our game's a fairly low cost barrier of entry game, and so if you want to play, come on in, and people will love on you for who you are, and you're going to be welcomed, and you're going to find your niche in our game, no matter who you are or where you come from.
I think it's...
Well, go ahead.
So I think it's easy to see us fighting at a park and assume that that's the game. But the game is kind of a separate entity from the club itself, which includes everything.
Yeah.
I don't think that you would ever have to fight to get a lot out of what we do, honestly.
Yeah, like, there's going to be someone that you're going to get along with. Like, the common interest is there, which is kind of being LARP oriented in any of these, and we're not just talking about Antguard. And so you're going to have people that are somewhat associated with you, so you're going to find someone that you just click with. It might take some time, like, that's all right. It's unfortunate, or you might find them at the very first event and just be besties for the rest of your life, and that's cool. Like the fact that people are going to be there, like, I have no doubt that you're going to click with somebody, and that's a huge attraction. Yeah.
Well, I think it's the spectrum of LARPs is also pretty interesting too. If you have someone who loves the high-end combat, there's a game for you. If you're someone who loves the historical aspect, there's a game for you. Heck, there even are call it like the parlor LARPs. I've never participated in those, but like the dinner theater type stuff, like those are becoming huge. The vampire and werewolf LARPs are massive. They're post-apocalyptic. There's there's the massive festivals now that are specific, steampunk, and then that's kind of a LARP thing as well. No matter what your interests are, you can find a game in a group of people that have those same interests. We stick to the historical stuff just because I think that's what's in our area geographically and what we're most familiar with. But the umbrella of LARP is massive. It's huge. So one of the other things that I love about LARP is the competition involved. And I know there are a lot of people who hate competition, some who thrive in it. I'm one of those who thrives in it. I love me versus you, let's see who the winner is. And that comes out, the reason I got into these games was the combat. One of the reasons I stayed was the arts and science tournaments. I want to say I'm better than the other 30 people that have entered.
As long as I don't enter with you, so.
Yeah. But I love the competition aspect. Do you guys enjoy the competition in our games?
It depends. It has its place, absolutely. Like I really enjoy Phoenix League, which is it's one type of the more competitive aspect battle games that we do in our game specifically. It's fast-paced, hyper competitive, very simple objectives. So it's just two sides butting head against each other, and I love that. Like, I enjoyed it. Probably like my single favorite battle game in however many years I've been playing was in West Virginia with against Neon's team. There's another person we play with, and it was a bajillion degrees outside, and we just batted against each other the whole game. It was a low-scoring game. It came down to like a single point. And I'm not going to say who won because it wasn't me. But it was so much fun. I'm going to remember that. Like, I think it's been like a year and a half, 2 years since then. And we wouldn't have had that opportunity to really just go at each other and hammer and have a lot of fun if it weren't for the more competitive aspect side of things. That's not to say the other ones aren't fun. Like, I think, I don't know, you're definitely more on the competitive side. If it's it's too fluffy, it's not gonna be fun.
See, I love just the solo tournaments as well, like the fighting tournaments. Some of our big Kingdom events can pull 60, 70 fighters, and you can go to like MHOG, which is the biggest tournament in our game, and there's hundreds of fighters. And then the idea that we're going to fight one-on-one, and the best fighter is going to come out on top most of the time. I really enjoy that. I think that's pretty fun.
I'm really weird because the one thing that we all have in common is that we all die over and over and over again in these games. So like winning, losing, I think that we have to have a drive to win, otherwise we wouldn't do it. But if I'm going to die, I would like to die doing something really cool, and that's what I strive for, is to do something really neat before I get killed. And I don't really care about winning past that.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like the competitiveness on an individual level, but then I also love the competitiveness when it comes to our teams. So
and I think that's where we click a lot.
Yeah.
Like I really like the strategic planning behind the scenes before events started.
Yeah.
And that competitive aspect of it. So having that, and that's kind of what we were talking about on Phoenix League. You have months to plan on that, and you have a very set number of people, and you can have your strategy. And you can say, all right, who is the best Andrew Wiggin, or who's the best Bean going into it. I like the Bean series so much better.
No.
You can get right out. They're so much better. Come on.
I'm going to keep it in.
Speaker for the Dead? No thanks. Anyway, being able to plan for that beforehand and throw that at the other team along with your individual martial skill is so much fun. And you can do that on the bigger battle games as well. Even if you're only 1/3 of the field, or even a quarter of the field, if you can make your quarter and your crew so strong, if they crush every flank or something like that, it's so much fun.
And I do have a question. If you have a team, a squad working together as part of a bigger battle, and that team does really, really well and does cool things, do you care if your team wins? If your squad does cool things,
I still care if we win. I still care if we win.
Because I don't.
They're both independent objectives that you should be trying to accomplish simultaneously.
Yeah. It's good to win, but that's not my MO.
So let me clarify real quick. So in our game in Amtgard, you have what we call fighting companies. These are groups of people who will gather together. They wear the same colors most of the time. They camp together most of the time. They fight together most of the time. In Dagger here, these are called units. Pretty much every game I've heard of has something like this. This is essentially your team. These are the people that you're going to fight with, that you're going to hang out with. Most of the time, they're your friends. We have an episode coming up in the near future that'll go into this a little bit more in depth. But I think the camaraderie that comes with that is really neat. Yeah. Another one of the things, I think we disagree a little bit on this, one of the things I love about our game is the belt line relationships that can come with that. So for those of you who aren't really familiar, in a lot of these games, SCA, Amtgard, DAG has something a little bit like this. You have your knights, who are kind of your pinnacle of the game, and that standard changes a little bit. But then those knights take on squires to teach and help, and then those squires can take on what are called man-at-arms, and you get this kind of family tree type of thing. I really, really enjoy that. A lot of people think it's toxic, and it can be, but I really enjoy that aspect of learning and then being able to pass that on. You guys are both in the same belt line, aren't you?
KO.
KO? Yeah. Zane, I'm in one, my knight is Sir Navrin, you guys are Sir KO, under Sir KO. All three of us are squires. That's interesting. I didn't think about that before we got in here. Do you have any underbelts, man-at-arms, women-at-arms?
I've got a bunch of them. I've got Dart from my home park. I've got Pharum from, I believe, Satyrs Crossing. I've got Sabriel from GG. And I've got...
Oh, man.
I think that's it.
Is it?
I think so.
I spaced out at the beginning of that, so hopefully I'm not supposed to fill any blanks.
Sure. I mean, if I had another one, I don't now. So
yeah,
I guess it is what it is.
Oof. Sorry.
So for you, what do you think is the most impactful part of the relationship? Up with your knight, but then also down with your underbelts?
Up with my knight, he opened a lot of doors. I'm a service player, and he's the one who essentially nudged me into doing all of these different service jobs. Down to the people that I'm working with below me now, I'm just trying to give them the same kind of chances that I got. And I'm trying to make sure that they get the skills that will let them succeed so that I'm not basically just throwing them to the wolves. When it comes to fighting, I'm trying to send them to the best people to teach them fighting. I'm not good at fighting, but I'm not bad either, kind of. Okay, I'm really bad. But
You're better than me, so that doesn't say much.
yeah, I just try to make sure that they can do the things that they want to do.
So I know for me, I have one man-at-arm right now. And this is, I probably have a different view than you guys on this. For me, what it means to be like successful in this game, part of it had to do with me specifically getting my Master Dragon. Like the skill set is mine. But I think what will truly mark if I'm successful is if when theoretically, if I become a knight, then my squire becomes a knight and their squire becomes a knight.
That's fair.
That idea of the lineage of being able to pass it on, it's not just that I'm good enough, but I was able to pass on knowledge, skills, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
and then that gets passed on as well. I think that's something that is kind of neat. I love, so for our game started in, what was it, 83, I want to say? Something like that.
Yeah,
sure.
It's pretty old. And some of these belt lines that we have can be traced all the way back to the beginning of the game. Mine can't. Mine can be traced back to the early 2000s. Glavus was the start of mine. He was one of the first knights of the Rising Winds. KO's goes back pretty dang far.
I can go back 2 steps, and that's KO and then Watt.
Yeah.
Sir Watt.
Okay.
I don't know who came before
Watt was Cads was Watt's
Okay.
knight, and I don't remember who Cads was. But the family tree aspect, I think it's kind of neat if you like that type of stuff. As far as other things that we love about LARP, you and I are the arts and science, the crafting, doing so with our hands. You're on the service side.
I am.
Do you enjoy that? Like, why do you do that? Because when I look at some of the service stuff,
Let's hear
it sounds terrible to me. But
how much sleep did we get at Keep 2 years ago?
Oh
But-
my god, that was
but
awful.
our events don't run without people who run them, right? And that's what you're really
Yes.
good at. So explain that to me. Someone who knows nothing about our game, if you say, hey, there's a service aspect to our game and it's fun.
It can be fun. It's generally not, but what it is satisfying.
I feel that.
After Keep, Sam was actually on my team for it. We got just an incredible amount of praise. We did something at a level that I've been told no one has ever done for that particular event.
And pause real quick. Keep is the largest event in our game, roughly 1,000 people. So, go ahead.
Yeah. So there is an immense sense of pride when you kind of get this stuff done, and that's what
Especially
drives
how
you to the next thing.
Understaffed we were for that, man.
Yep.
And, like how understaffed and how well we performed.
I think we had to have hauled 2 or 3 tons of trash.
Yeah.
Wow.
Honestly. And then we had to haul it a second time because the space that we put it the first time got too full. So
Yeah.
there was a whole string of things, and it's frustrating in the moment when you're doing that. But afterwards, you feel like a king. You've accomplished something that's like honestly kind of amazing.
Yeah. In the moment, that was hard. Like if it weren't for like us cruising down the sites and the golf carts after we had finished it up, like singing Baby Shark as loud as we could, like
Don't share that.
that was hard. But like that camaraderie then made it. It's kind of what you said. Like it was not fun to do that, but it was extremely satisfying.
Brothers forged in fire.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that was one of the hardest like things I've done in a long time because it was so prolonged. Waking up before sunrise and working way past sunset, but like the satisfaction afterwards was huge.
Yeah.
So if you're talking to a new player and they've never really been to an event and they say I want to serve in some capacity, what are the options for them? What can they do?
I think a good starter option would be gate. Sitting gate means that you're taking money from players as they come in to pay to get in. Gate's great because you get to meet players.
That is a good thought. Yeah.
You could do clean team, which is picking up trash. There's kind of a stigma about that, but it's good work. It's not hard.
And if you do it with a smile, people love you.
Yeah.
Like that was a great thing about Keep. Like people were giving us high fives and were
Yeah.
super supportive and thanking us the whole time. And I mean,
Yeah.
that was good. That went a long way for
Yeah.
everyone that was doing that for us.
I do feel like we need to get all of these kind of what are seen as like physical menial jobs to the point that they're celebrated.
Yep.
If we can get it to where if you're working clean team, everybody comes up and like gives you a high, yeah, then
I try and prop up the people that are serving me food. Like I think that those are just random people who are serving, and I'm like, hey man, thank you so. I mean, they're my favorite people to see at the event. You know, like they're giving me the food.
Yeah.
Like
They're paying to show up at an event
yeah.
to give their time for other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
That should absolutely
Yes.
be celebrated.
Yeah.
Like we cannot thank them enough.
So
Yeah.
there's a way to serve in the SCA that we don't have, which is actually kind of neat. It's the retainer system. Have you heard of this? So you sign up to be a retainer for the king and the queen, and you get kind of like gate. You get to be there, and everything the king and queen does for that 2-hour shift, you're doing with them. So you do some of the take notes. You do the hey, go find, go fetch type of quests. You know, give water. But you also get to interact with the king and queen if they're not interacting with anybody else. And in the SCA, their king and queen's a bigger deal than what ours is.
Yeah.
But then, so like people are coming up and having conversations, and you get to meet all these people, and you're for 2 hours, you're essentially like the one who is helping out the king and queen do all their royal duties.
that's really cool.
That's kind of cool,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And in the SCA, to walk past the king and queen, everyone's bowing. Like there's a lot of hoopla. I don't know what better word for it, but like it is a big deal to be the king and queen in the SCA, and I think that's kind of neat. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
stuff like that could be kind of cool for
That would be
us
really
to
neat.
do.
Like, I feel like for us, especially having been such good friends with like the Monarchy and the Rising Winds, like it's just another one of the guys or one of the girls and just hanging out. Like it's a lot of fun, but like adding that extra pomp artificially because like at the end of the day you're gonna say goodbye. It's the same thing. They're just your friends, but like adding the extra pomp would be something that's really neat on the Amp Guard level, just to give some significance on what it actually means to be a monarch or a champion
Well, for
or
them,
prime minister at an event.
for them too, you become king by winning the tournament. And so you have to be really good at it to be able to do it. And so, for example, in this past event that I went to, the crown prince, the one who just won the tournament, who is going to be the next king, was not able to really fight technically, but he was kind of jumping into some of these pools, you know. And so I'm kind of new, just watching around, and I'm talking to my friend who's there. And he goes, "Yeah, that's the crown prince. That's whatever his name was." And I'm like, he looks pretty cool. He's got some cool stuff on, and he comes in and just rolls like 8 people in a row. I mean, just like just smashes all of them, and then it's like, oh man, so that's what it takes to be the king here, is that level of, like, there's some built-in respect in a martial-based game to be king by right of arms, you know?
That is super prestigious, but I'm thinking it would be much better. Like I like what we do, because I'm thinking it's like, if the best person to stick in our game automatically was in charge, they may be really bad at governing. It's like I am afraid of that person if we get on the field, but man, when it comes to making some decisions.
Thing is, though, if you have someone who's really bad and they're doing it again, all the other good fighters will be like, man, we really don't want him to do this again. Let's get in there and stop him. And it becomes
also that can be a fun bit of political intrigue as well. Like, you can get a group of people saying, this guy is really good, he is potentially going to rise up and win. Let's go stomp him.
Yeah, for sure. So as we wrap up this episode, is there anything else that you guys can think of? You're talking to a new player, someone who's never really played, or it's their first week. You're trying to convince them to come back. What's the thing you love the most about this game that we hadn't talked about?
I just tend to ask new players, like, do you want a place where you can feel like a hero? Because that's what we do best.
That idea of being... You get to be the video game character when you're out there. That epicness that comes with your favorite character in Skyrim or whatever it is, you get to personify that. That is pretty cool. That is fun. And then when you see a new player who gets their swords for the first time and they're rolling around the battlefield and they're doing, all the stuff that they've seen in Assassin's Creed and the smile on their face, that's a lot of fun. I like that. You got anything else before we close?
I mean, kind of similar. Like, in LARPing, especially in our game, but LARPing as a whole, like, you're going to be able to find something that you're going to flourish at. Whether that's service or some sorts of arts and sciences or fighting or battle game or tactics, something. Like, you're going to be able to find something that you are good at, and you're going to develop that skill. So you're going to get a rewarding feeling from that. You're going to build yourself up, and that is the sort of thing that's going to be great that LARPing can offer to someone in your particular interest. Like, if you're interested in being the best, like, I don't know, actuary or tax person, LARPing might not always be that. I mean, there needs to be an accountant. There's a treasurer.
We have roles, yeah.
Yeah,
We can do it.
I'm sorry.
I think that's one of the things to point out as we close here. LARPing isn't just specifically for the nerdy outcasts. We have a lot of those people.
Yeah.
But we also have doctors and lawyers, and that's not a joke. Like, that's, I mean, we have engineers, we have DJs, I'm a minister. Like, we have people from all walks of life, all economic backgrounds, all degrees of education who have found a home in our game. And there are very few things in modern society that I see that. We do a really good job of that.
And a home where you can flourish. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, you can make something, like, of yourself. And that's not to say you're not doing that, but, like, it offers another very great venue to, like, I've always wished I was a leatherworker. Well, you now have the venue to do that, and whether it's even selling for it, like, it's a fertile field for developing those skills and developing yourself.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, that wraps up episode 2 of the Larp Life. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this content, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It means a lot, helps the channel out. Next episode, we're going to be talking about fighting companies in the game of Amphgard. I'll see you then.